Good morning, class 12 children. Today again we are back with our online class. As per the routine, today we are supposed to take up English language class or English paper 1. If you remember, last time I had given you the syllabus of English paper 1. You might have come across there 99% of our syllabus has got over in our last session 2019-20. We are just remained with one chapter, that is article writing. While we'll take up a revision class on those chapters we have already done, in between we'll also see an article writing. What is an article writing? How do we write an article writing? We'll get the momentum of our online class and then we'll introduce the chapter article writing through online class with you. Well, let me go back to revise the already done chapter composition with you through online class. We'll first try to understand what is a composition, what are the kinds of compositions, how do you write a good composition, and also practice the question associated with this chapter compositions. So first and foremost, to talk about a composition, we are to go back to our primary levels of our writing skill. There in class 5 and class 6, or till class 6 we can say, you were supposed to write a paragraph writing. And in the paragraph writing, we had some topics, and on the topics we were supposed to write a paragraph on any chosen one. Say about writing a paragraph in 100 to 150 words. Then you upgraded yourself to class 7 and 8, and there you understood what is an essay writing. And in an essay writing, as same as paragraph writing, we have the topics. We select a good topic out of them and then write an essay on the chosen topic. The difference between paragraph writing and essay writing is, in a paragraph writing we don't have paragraph division, but in an essay writing we have division of paragraphs. And then coming to class 9 and 10 onwards, we started writing composition. And same as a paragraph writing and an essay writing, we have topics given for the compositions. The only difference that we find in these three kinds of writing is, in a composition we have many paragraphs. We write in about 350 to 450 words, whereas in an essay writing we had a maximum limit of 250 words to write. Now we can say that composition is a bigger essay writing. When we write an essay writing with many numbers of paragraphs, it becomes a composition. Thus, we understood here what is a composition writing. Today, we'll elaborate what is a composition writing with the various kinds of compositions we have. Let us understand. So, our topic today is composition. So, after knowing what is a composition, we'll now talk about the kinds of compositions. Let me write. So there are normally 7 kinds of compositions we have, and you will see in your question paper, as you have seen in class 11 as well, there are 7 questions asked in the paper, in which you are to select one composition and then write in about 450 words, the maximum limit. So let us now write the kinds of composition. First kind, descriptive composition. Now, what is a descriptive composition? A descriptive composition is that composition which describes a person or a place. So that means when we write a composition based on a person or a place, it becomes a descriptive composition. We call it a descriptive composition. Say, for example, you are living in a family and you are asked to write a composition on any one of the family members who has inspired you the most. So it may be either your father, mother, uncle, aunt, or anyone in the family. So when you write a composition based on any person, is called a descriptive composition. Or, given a chance where you would like to live your life, and also state why you made a choice to live your life in that place. If such questions do occur in the paper, it is a descriptive writing, because here you are describing about a place where you prefer to live your life. Such compositions are called descriptive compositions. I hope it is clear. Now let us move on to the next kind of composition. Number 2 is narrative composition. Now, what is a narrative composition? Narrate means to tell. Now, when you are telling, you are either telling an event or an incident or any occurrences. When you are asked to write a narrative composition is based on any kind of events. Now, events are of 2 types. One is a happy event, the other is a sad event. A happy event, like your sports day, annual sports day, the cultural program, any competitions held in the school, any organizations organizing any fete or any festivals, carnival. Such compositions where you are happy and happily participated into such events is called a happy event. Now to talk about sad event. Sad event relates to any kind of sadnesses, like you are on a train journey, the train got derailed, you are on a flight, there is a plane crash, or there are any other natural calamities like flood, tsunami, hurricane, or landslide, earthquake. When such compositions are written, when there is sadness, it is a sad event. And when you are telling such a sad event in your writing, we call it a narrative writing. So hence, a narrative event is telling the experiences that you have either in the sad event or in the happy event. So such compositions are called narrative compositions. Now these two kinds of compositions, descriptive and narrative compositions, they are your personal writings. Since you're experiencing your own fact and telling your events, your experiences in your composition. So they are called personal writings. Now moving on to the next, third kind of composition is argumentative composition. Now in an argumentative composition, we have two sides, for and against. When we are supporting the topic, we are for the topic. When you are against the topic, then we are against the topic. So we have given a choice. We either write supporting the topic or we write against the topic. Now this is a factual kind of composition where we are either fighting for the motion or against the motion. Now, if you have seen the previous year's question papers, you might have come across when we discuss about argumentative composition. 99% of the argumentative compositions are based on either for or against. Please take note, either for or against. That means you have a side, you have a choice. Take any one of the sides on the given topic. Only 1% of the question is based on right, for and against the given topic. Now we have and between for and against. Now in this case, we don't have a choice. We are bound to write both the motions of the given topic, for the motion and against the motion. So this becomes quite tough because you have to have an idea on both the sides. That's why the council gives a choice asking either for or against. So when it comes for or against, we have a choice. The choice is anyone. Take an example of such questions. Honesty is the best policy. Write either for or against the given topic. Now some may choose for the topic, some may choose against the topic to write. Now when we talk about writing against the topic, doesn't mean we are on a negative side. In such argumentative compositions, who write the best statement supported with lots of example, it becomes an argumentative composition. Now when we have best statement supported with lots of example, the better you write on the side, the better is your composition. Now it never tells that writing against the topic is on a negative side. What matters here is how you have expressed the topic and how you have supported the topic, how you have presented the topic. This is what makes a good essay. Hence, I am I believe what is an argumentative composition is okay. Understood? Now let us move on to the fourth one. The fourth kind of composition is expository. Now what is an expository composition? The word expository means to expose. That means tell the 100% of knowledge concerning to the topic. In this kind of composition, expository composition, we either have a single word heading or a short phrase heading. Expository composition is the toughest kind of composition to be written. It needs lots of ideas, lots of knowledge, lots of techniques to write. So thus it becomes very, very tough. In an expository composition, we have lots of questions asked to ourselves and then get the answers of those questions ourselves. So it becomes very tough. Take an example of some topics like rainbow, a rainy day, table, chair. Now how much you can write on such topics? And your word limit says you have to write 450 words on any one of the compositions. So when you choose to write an expository composition, you will fall short of your expression, your presentation, your knowledge, and thus you won't be able to reach the word limit, 450 words. Hence, it becomes very tough to write. Now move on to the next one, number 5. Number 5 is autobiographical composition. Now, what is an autobiographical composition? An autobiographical composition is a reflection of your experiences in your life. The question may be based on, remember the past of your life and tell your experiences, what you have had in the life so far. Now in such question, you see, you have to go back to your yesteryears to recall or to recollect all those experiences you had in your past life. Now, when you are recalling or refreshing of those moments of your past life, it becomes very tough because many of your memories or experiences might have got disappeared from your recollection. A handful of those recollections may be still alive with you. And let me again remind you, you have to reach 450 words as your word limit. Now with the limited recollection of your past experiences, you cannot hit the target 450 words. So again, you will fall short of the required number of words that you need to write in a composition. So once again, autobiographical composition, or we also call it a reflective composition, becomes very tough. Hence, I hope you understood the differences between an expository composition and an autobiographical composition. Now, let us move on to the sixth kind of composition, which is the story writing. Now, the story writing is also one of our choices in our composition, or question number 1. Now, when we talk about story writing, every one of us takes it very easy. Oh, story writing, this is very simple. But when you sit to write a story, then you realize how difficult it is to write a story, because lots of things are needed to write a story. When you think about writing a story, first of all, our story should have a story, then only it is called a story. Then you should have characters to play the roles in the story. You need to have a plotting in the story. You need to have a plan in the story. You need to have setting in the story where the story do take place. Then you need to have the story put into sequence. What comes first, what comes next, and what comes next, and so on. So putting them into sequence is a big hurdle to write a story writing. And then you have a conclusion given in a story. And after you have given a conclusion in a story should also have a moral. So you see how difficult it is to write a story. So it's never easy to write a story. When we think, it sounds easy. But when you sit to write, it becomes very, very tough. Hence, a story writing is also one of the questions you have in your composition writing. Now, there are various kinds of testing to test a story. In a story writing, either you are given a start to begin with the story, or the ending lines of the story is given. That means you have to end the story with the line given in the question paper. Or sometimes you also have some proverbs or old sayings or famous sayings to include these as a theme of your story. So any of the choices will be there in the question paper, either to start or to begin or to end, or it contains a theme where you have to prove it. And sometimes you also have there some hint words which you need to include them in your story. So hence there are difficulties in writing a story writing. You need to have a lot of practice. Hence I hope the story writing is also understood. Now let us move on to the last one. Number 7 is the picture writing. The picture writing. Now the picture writing is not an issue with the ISA students, because the picture writing is not in a question paper now. The picture writing is till ICSE. We have already discussed what kind of writing is the picture writing. It is not in our syllabus. Let us then skip this. Let us omit this, because this is not in our syllabus. In lieu of this picture writing, we have question number 2A, and that we'll discuss when we come to question number 2A. Now let's again have a recap of all this what we have discussed now. Today we discussed composition in our revision, because these topics we have already covered in class 11. We are just revising, recollecting, so that you keep the momentum of what we had done in class 11, so that we continue the same in class 12 and have better practices done with more of the questions we have to do. Now composition, we understood that it is a bigger essay where we have more number of division of paragraphs, and we write to an extent of 450 words as a word limit for ISC. Then we discuss about the kinds of compositions. We have 7 kinds of compositions as we have listed here. They are descriptive compositions. A descriptive composition is a composition which is written based on a person or a place. Then we discussed narrative composition. A narrative composition is to tell a series of events. The events may be happy or sad. Then we discussed argumentative composition. An argumentative composition is a debatable composition. We debate here, taking a side either for or against. 99% of the question is based on either for or against. 1% is based on for and against. Then we discussed expository composition. Expository composition have one word heading or a short phrase heading, and this is the toughest kind of composition to be written, as I told you. Then we have autobiographical or reflective composition. Here we go back to our years and tell the experience. It is a mixture of all kinds of compositions. We are partly descriptive, we are partly narrative, we are partly argumentative, we are partly expository, and it is an autobiographical in itself. Then we discuss about the story writing, the difficulties of writing short story writing, and then we discuss the picture writing, which is omitted from your syllabus in ISC. So hence, these are the various kinds of compositions we have. Now let us discuss which would be better for us to pick a choice and then write a composition so as to get better marks. Normally, we practice composition writing very rarely, to be very honest. And if you practice it every time, we have better choices. We can attempt any of the questions we have and we can write them very well. But we rarely practice as well. Thus, descriptive and narrative, these two kinds of compositions are personal writings. Whatever you enter, whatever you write in these two different kinds of composition, they become your personal writing. And whenever it is your personal writing, you have your own thoughts, you have your own ideas, so you can reach to the target 450 words. Because whenever you write your own experiences in these kinds of compositions, they always appear new to the examiner. Hence, these two kinds of compositions are always options we have to write composition. Argumentative needs a lot of practice. You need to go through different kinds of books, listen to the TV news, read newspapers, get the varieties of knowledge that you come across, and you need to have a thorough practice. Only then it becomes easy to write, because whatever statement that you write and whatever examples that you support your statement, right, they are all worldwide known. So you can't bluff, you can't assume. Whatever you write, you should write factual. Thus, it becomes a difficult kind of composition to be written. Until and unless you have practiced well, it is a tough question. And then expository, as I already said, this is the toughest kind of composition to be written, because writing 450 words on a given heading becomes very tough. You will always fall short of words when you sit to write an expository composition. And then autobiographical or reflective composition, this is another toughest kind of work, because you need to refresh yourself with your old experiences, old thoughts, old memories, where some of those memories might have now today faded. So when your memories are faded, you will fall in short of words to reach your target 450 words. Next, the story writing. This is another very tough kind of composition to be written, because there are so many pros and cons to write a story writing. unless you have practiced it well and many times, you won't be able to write a good story. This is another difficulty we have in writing story writing. So hence, we have taken a preference which kind of compositions would be better opted to write and reach the target 50 words and get marks. Hence, descriptive and narrative are the most choiceable questions we have to write a composition. So here we have ended the different kinds of compositions that we have and which kind of composition is to be opted and written. Now after we have finished the kinds of compositions, now let us move on to write the steps to write a composition and what is the way we write a good composition. So let us see. Now, how the steps? What are the steps to write a composition? Number one, rubric or heading or title. So first and foremost, we need to have a rubric or heading or title. We need to provide a sound heading, a sound rubric or a sound title to write a composition. So this is the first step we have in writing a composition writing. Number two, introduction. Introduce the topic in a paragraph. This is called introduction. We introduce the topic in our paragraph. Then number three, we have body of the composition, which is to be divided into many number of paragraphs. More number of paragraphs, the better is your composition, because when you have division of paragraphs, you erase the monotonous reading of the reader. Thereby, when there is a paragraph gap, it provides a reader to refresh his mind or her mind and thus proceed with the next paragraph with new thoughts, new ideas and new freshness. So it becomes a beautiful piece of writing. Then comes to number 4, conclusion. So in a composition writing, we have a conclusion, the concluding paragraph. And then sometimes we also have moral as one of the steps to write a composition. So these are normally the 5 steps we require to write a composition. Number 1, we need to have a heading given to what composition that we write. In many of the questions, the heading is already provided, and the questions which don't have the heading given, we need to create ourselves. When we have a heading, it becomes an easy start to write the composition with our thoughts. Then we have introduction, we have to introduce the topic. Then we have body, which is to be divided into many number of paragraphs. Conclusion, we need to provide a concluding paragraph to what composition we have written. And then if we have a moral to write, we can also locate a moral. Basically, when we write our story writing, we have a moral also. Right? These are the 5 kinds of compositions we have. Now, after the steps that you have come across to write a composition, let us also discuss how we write a good composition. So let us come back to it. Suppose this is a full-script size page or an A4 size page. We have margin on left hand side. There is a printed company margin. Then in the boards we have right hand side also margin given. And if the page has no margin on the right hand side, we are advised to give a margin, say a 1 inch on the right hand side. We also have margin on top, we also have margin on down. So this is our normal A4 size page or a full-script size page. Now how we write or how we present a composition. Step number 1, as I told, which is a rubric or a heading or title, must be given or written on the top center page, center right of the page, so that it becomes distinct, it becomes clear. Either we write in bold letters or after writing we underline. This is how we start. And then there are two patterns to start our composition. One is a traditional pattern and the other is a modern pattern or a computer pattern. We call it a computer pattern. Now in a traditional pattern, we used to start slightly away from the left hand margin. Then we carry on, and we carried on. Say we finished one paragraph now. Now when we ended a paragraph on the page, the very next paragraph used to begin just below the punctuation of our first paragraph. And likewise it can continue and continue. We ended second paragraph. Now third paragraph used to begin where we ended the second paragraph. And then continued. Say we finished one paragraph and again ended here. Now the fourth paragraph used to begin here. Now see the beginning of each of the paragraphs. Here, 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 and so on. So it was haphazard. Sometimes here, sometimes there. Because the earlier paragraph ending used to be the important case for the second or the next paragraph to begin. So it looked haphazard in our presentation. So this was the traditional pattern. It did not look nice. Now we are given a new pattern, a modern pattern, a computer pattern. We will write our composition in the modern pattern as far as possible. So in the modern pattern, what we are suggested is we just leave a small space from the left hand side and then we continue. And we continue. Now suppose first paragraph ended. Now it is mandatory to leave one line after we have finished first paragraph. And then the second paragraph used to begin in the same line where we have started the first paragraph. And so it continued, it continued, it continued, ended here, ended here. Now the first paragraph ending doesn't matter to the coming paragraph. Wherever the paragraph ends is not an issue now. The start matters. Leave one line again and again start a new paragraph, new paragraph. Likewise, the next paragraph also started here. So after every paragraph we leave one line. It is mandatory and looks better also. Now see the start of the modern pattern. All the startings follow the same paragraph, same line. Now no start is here, no start is there. Now it has a disciplined start. It looks beautiful, it looks nice. This is how we need to write a good composition. We write the composition in the modern pattern, computer pattern. We all have the same line to begin our fresh paragraph. So this is a beautiful. Likewise, the next page comes, we follow the same, right? So this is how we write a good composition. So if we follow this, it is an attractive presentation of writing a composition. This is how we write a composition. So this is how we have come to an end of today's question number 1, composition writing. However, this is what we have just revised of our question number 1, what we had discussed in our last session in class 11. Hope you understood, you got refreshed to what we had discussed. So this will help you once again to write a good composition. So you'll get the questions based on this question number 1. So I want you to do your homework, what questions you get, and show the homework when the lockdown is over. Thank you so much.